Welcome back to another Adelphi session where we are talking to people that have been involved in creating the Adelphi brand all over the world. And today we're going to Canada, and I'm going to be talking to Marlene Howard, who is our brand ambassador over there. Hi, Marlene.
Hi, Jenny. Nice to see you.
Lovely to see you too. I'm glad it worked out this time. It's afternoon for me, which is daylight here still, and for you it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
Correct.
And
just getting started.
I know, yeah, you're starting your Monday and I'm just about to wrap it up here. What is the weather like over there? Last time we chatted, you had really cold weather. You had minus 30 something.
Yes, well, it was beautiful, and then today it's kind of cool. Of course, it's first day of spring, and we're supposed to get a little snow here in the mountains in Canmore. Okay. And be +3 Celsius, and it'll just get nicer as the week goes on. Oh, but we don't have much snow here anymore.
Oh, great. So I'm glad to hear that. It's the end of the snow, because I know it gets quite tedious after a few months in Alberta with the snow and the slush.
It does.
I'm glad to hear you're in the plus degrees. So you have 3 degrees. That's good.
Yes, it sure is.
So I introduced you as our brand ambassador, and really you've been working with the Adelphi brand in Canada or Alberta for a few years now. When did that start?
It started in 2012. So I have been working with Adelphi since 2012. First met Alex at a whiskey event, and been working with him ever since, and excited to work with the whiskeys.
Great. Yeah. So 2012, that's almost 10 years. That'll be 10 years next year.
Yes, it will be.
We'll have to celebrate.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. I've been watching Alex grow up.
Yeah, well, this is it. This is it. And the new distillery, which we'll discuss shortly.
Yes.
But you didn't start in whiskey in 2012. You've been involved in the whiskey scene over in Alberta for a while. Since when did you start? And where did you start?
I started, let me see, in 1996. So my daughter was just entering kindergarten, and I started some part-time work with a national agency in Canada. And they worked with the William Grant's family of whiskeys. So I started working with whiskey a long time ago, and eventually I've evolved into the education component for the company for Western Canada. So I hosted a lot of consumer nosing events and events around whiskey. And so, as I say, I've been working with whiskey for a long time. So it was quite something to shift from a company that was large in the whiskey world with the William Grant's portfolio to going to Adelphi and an independent bottler. And, just trying to wrap your head around what exactly is an independent bottler and what do they do. So it's been a great trajectory for me as well, and a great learning experience. Wow. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. And where did you learn to begin with? Where did you learn about whiskey? How did that happen for you?
A few visits to Scotland and to the distilleries, and spending some time with the master distillers there, David Stewart and Brian Kinsman at William Grant's. And, just trucking around Scotland, traveling down the whiskey routes, and learning from people that, were in the industry and crafting their own. And then, doing a lot of research so I could do the education component and the nosings and tastings and working events. And it was a fun experience.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you had to come to Scotland to learn the trade, which is probably quite a nice thing to do.
It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed all the different areas of Scotland. I've been there in June when there was beautiful weather for a few days, and then snow in the mountains. So it's like Just like Canmore.
It is. You get all the seasons in one day. Like
That's right. Yeah,
ourselves
for
on our
sure.
toes.
Yeah.
It's really handy, the aspect that you had education behind you, because it does take some getting used to the fact that you get a few bottles per cask, and
Oh.
it's cask and there's a lot of education that goes into selling that type of product. So you're lucky you had that, or that was ideal that you had that, I should say.
Well, it was when I first started working with Adelphi. Of course, no one knew who Adelphi was, or what they did. But Alex did such a great job. He would visit a couple of times a year in the market, and just, Alex, his presentation style and the way, his passion for the industry, and and his willingness to just speak to consumers about who Adelphi was, about their, and when he's so modest, never talked about his family history, or so, and I learned a lot from him, and of course, over the years, I always told people, okay, so if you taste Adelphi, if you like it, you better buy it. It's something like going to the Costco grocery stores here. You better buy it while it's there, because it's not going to last. And especially with these small lots that we do get the allocations. And so, it's evolved from 2012 to now, where we just never get enough. And it's trying to satisfy all those accounts that we have, that want Adelphi.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just, if you see it, buy it, because it won't be there the next day. It's kind of that.
That's right. And Adelphi has earned a reputation for really quality whiskeys, and I think that's something Alex had always stressed, that they would never sacrifice quality for quantity. So, they reject a lot of casks that are presented to them, and only pick, those casks that have lots of character, lots of flavor, that really speak to them. And so that's exciting to me. It's fun to sell whiskeys like that. And I used to do whiskey events, and people would come up and, educate me on Adelphi. Now I'm quite surprised at how many come up and say, oh yeah, at home I got this, and they rattle off all these Adelphis. And it's exciting to me. I did a whiskey for lassies just before we shut down for COVID in 2020. And it was women as well that came to me and said, oh, I just love Adelphi, and these are the whiskeys I have. So for me, that's exciting.
I agree. I mean, it's great. We do have some real hardcore fans that love the Adelphi range, and they collect them and drink them. And they're always so passionate what they share with us on social media. We absolutely love it. And it's nice that you get some of the feedback when you're out and about as well. Well, during normal circumstances.
For sure. And I've managed to keep a few, really special whiskeys too. Pull them out once in a while, and it's like, wow, okay, that's such a good whiskey.
Was there one or two that ever stuck out for you that you have really loved?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. There's quite a few. I pulled out, what was it? I pulled out not that long ago, and I shared some with Spencer. It was a 40-year-old, I think it was the Linkwood, and it was really, it's special.
Very special. Oh, that's a nice drink there. I like that.
Yes.
So you mentioned Spencer, who is obviously Spencer of Onyx Beverages, and that's where that's who's importing our whiskey to Canada, or to Alberta right now. And it's a nice relationship. I know the last meeting we had, you said, is there anywhere we can have more whiskey, because we sell out, and it's tricky, isn't it? We're talking about how restrictive the casks can be, but we also do the likes of private stock blend and the Dale series. They tend to have a bit more quantity when they come out, and you guys are obviously doing a great job in promoting these products.
Well, and it's exciting for me, because when Spencer just started working with these whiskeys really last year, he would stress, we were, like, how are we going to sell these whiskeys? Like, what's going to happen? And I said, trust me, it's not going to be a problem. The problem is we're not going to have enough and we're not going to satisfy everyone. So don't worry about it. Just relax and enjoy.
Yeah. Enjoy the
So
ride.
for him, it's been really exciting because to him, he just could not understand, this demand for the whiskeys. And so it's really exciting for him to be along on this and really for him to get behind the Adelphi, the Dancy Man, or the Granny's blend, the blend, because we have so many accounts that just say, for them, this is just the best blended whiskey out there. Quality for the money, it's just far exceeds, so for him, he's really behind the blend as well. And as I say, it's the perfect everyday dram for the single malt drinker. So
absolutely, I agree.
Well, and I'll tell you a funny story. We used to do the trade shows and we'd always refer to it as the Dancy Man because Sir William Gladstone graces the label, or Granny's blend. And we had some accounts call us because they had tasted it at the trade show, but they went onto the government website here, Connect Logistics, and they were looking for Adelphi Granny's blend. And they couldn't find it. So I said, oh heavens, that's our affectionate name for it. It's really...
I like that. It's unofficial, but we all know which one you mean. It's funny.
Yeah. So it's a great story, Do
you remember when you first started liking whiskey? Because I mean, it's not something you try straight away and maybe love. I don't know. I didn't love it the first time I tried it. Do you remember?
I sure do. I was 18 years old, maybe 19. And my older brother and I would go out bike riding every night, got on our bicycles, our 10-speed bikes, and we'd go for a ride. And then after a while, my brother would say, let's just stop off. We're going to have a little drink here. And he started me on whiskey.
Nice.
It started out with, of course, blended whiskey, but that's how I started at a young age. So I tasted it, and so as you say, it's, a lot of people getting into tasting Scotch or, can be quite a process because it's can be quite harsh. And so you can understand why Adelphi's, Granny said, none of that harsh stuff. I want something a little softer. So the Dancy Man is perfect for that because, and I started out on Famous Grouse.
Yeah.
That was the first whiskey. My brother used to be the big seller, and that's what he started me out on. So
that's nice. I love that. So you now live in Canmore. Did you live in Canmore back then as well when you were out on your bike rides?
In Saskatchewan.
Oh wow.
Okay. Yeah, so I grew up in Saskatchewan. So I had to check my age because I grew up on a border city. So half was on Alberta side, half was on Saskatchewan side. So you had to be 18 years old to consume alcohol on Alberta side, but 19 on the Saskatchewan side. So,
so you couldn't cycle over the border because then you would get caught.
That's right.
I love that. That's great. Well, look, that it's interesting how you liked it straight away. Whiskey was obviously something that you were going to be enjoying for a long time.
Who knew?
When you started in the industry in the 90s, you would have been quite lonely in the industry as a woman, wouldn't you? I mean, I'm just thinking from my own experience. Oh. So you would have done tastings, which I am just guessing predominantly male of a certain age. And how did you tackle it?
Well, do you know, that's a very interesting comment, because when I did start, there were 2 females in this industry. Oh. Ruth lived in Edmonton and she was with Diageo, so she was big brands.
Yeah.
And I was in Calgary, and I remember meeting her at an account, and she was saying, like, so as the women in an all boys network and club, we fought hard. Yeah. To gain traction. And I remember The very first nosing I did for an account, and it was in Banff. And it was a lot of older gentlemen. There were doctors. And it was really interesting, the questions they asked, because what they were basically doing was trying to test my knowledge. And I knew that. But thankfully, I had been to Scotland, and I like to be a good student, so I did my homework.
I bet.
But to gain that respect, it took a while. And I know the first nosings I did at big events, you know, you get that little bit of skepticism, but I like to throw in a little bit of humor in there as well. But it did take time. Yeah. And you know, you're right. I have forgot about that until 2 years ago at a get together with a bunch of females in the industry. And that's what they said, you know, you and Ruth, you are our heroes because you broke the ground for us. Because as you say, and especially women in whiskey, you know, it was a tough haul.
Now in Canada, I can think of many lovely girls that are like influencers or working in the industry, and that's obviously thanks to you. I remember having always looking up to Rachel Barry and thinking she did a really great job. But look, that's great. I love hearing that. It's yes, you had to work harder and you had to prove yourself maybe a bit more than a man would have, but that's why you're still here and you're doing a really good job, and people look up to you.
And I enjoy it, you know. It's
and that shines.
And I enjoy people, and it's such a great industry to be in, because, you know, it's a consumable product, and, you know, people have a little bit and they get happier, and but, you know, it is really a great industry.
And is it always Alberta that you've been working in as an area? You've not been involved with the other regions of Canada?
I also worked with Alberta and Saskatchewan, so in my past job, and I still do some work in Saskatchewan. Right. Well, pre-pandemic, you know, and Spencer works more in BC, but yeah, we tend to work in those three provinces. We do a bit of work in the Northwest Territories, but that's just all, you know, remote work. So yeah. And some work in Manitoba.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think Canada, because you have your own tradition of making whiskey, you are really quite a skilled whiskey drinking population, if you like, or curious even, like you understand the process and the makings of it. So I'm comparing to other countries now, which I shouldn't name, but I just find that anytime I have been to Canada, you always get really great questions and groups of people coming to whiskey fairs and whiskey tastings and whiskey clubs, and I find that it more so in Canada probably than other areas. And why do you
think we also need those whiskeys and spirits to survive our winters?
Yeah, well, this is it. On that note, actually, how do you drink your whiskey? Because I mean, in the winter, I myself tend to drink my drams neat, but if it's granny's, I might put in a little tall drink sometimes, your granny's blend. And what about you? How do you drink your whiskey?
I do the same as you. I tend to drink them neat, just room temperature. And, you know, for some of them, I do find, because as you know, a lot of Adelphi is bottled at cask strength. Yeah. Some of them I find just a couple drops of water really opens them up. I like to try them first without water. But, you know, when you're at 58.9% alcohol or something, sometimes just a couple drops of water really opens them up and makes them a little more expressive.
Yeah. Oh, same as me. we do. Yeah, we were talking about how limited whiskey gets with the Adelphi range, but we have obviously now opened a distillery. We've got the Ardnamurchan to try and have a bit more stock to supply you with. So you had the first release already hitting your shores, haven't you? And the second should
the second should be here shortly. And you know, it's funny that you talk about that, because I know how quickly Ardnamurchan sold out in the UK within 30 minutes or something of its release. It was unbelievable. And so of course, this was something Spencer was quite concerned about last year, because we were getting 85 cases. My God, how are we going to sell it? And I said, don't worry about it. You're overthinking it. It's going to sell itself. And he just couldn't understand that. And of course, that was exactly the problem. We did not have enough to supply everyone. And in fact, on Friday, I was at an account and I took him a wee sample because he was a buyer. And he said, I have 2 bottles sitting at home, but I'm afraid to open them. So he said, thank you for the sample.
Wow,
so
I said, to be open. He should.
That's what I said. You better open it. I said, the second release is on its way.
Once he's tasted it, I bet you he'll go back and open it.
That's right. So people are super stoked right across the country, because of course Alberta is the only province that we've released the Ardnamurchan in, and so the demand across the country at the shops in Alberta is unbelievable. All the whiskey societies, in Ontario, clear through to the East Coast in Nova Scotia, they're all looking for some Adelphi or Ardnamurchan. So as I say, never enough.
Yeah, well, you've done a great job in building the brand up over there, because it's quite unusual for a brand new distillery to have that welcome in a country that's so far away. You've obviously been telling them about us, and it's much appreciated. It's great.
Well, yeah, we have some fabulous accounts that are such diehard Adelphi fans, and of course that helps.
Yeah,
I remember, oh gosh, back before Ardnamurchan was even being built, Alex came with our little pamphlet or our little booklet, and we were going up and down, between Edmonton and Calgary, trying to pre-sell some casks. And Andrew Ferguson, for his Whisky Society, purchased 2 casks of Ardnamurchan, a peated and unpeated. So you're right. Andrew has always been a very faithful and follower of, supporter of Adelphi and Ardnamurchan. So for him, he was so excited about the release of Ardnamurchan. So
I must look out his casks when I'm next up there and see if we can find them. So you haven't yet, am I right in thinking you've not made it to Ardnamurchan yet? You were meant to go, but then the world changed.
The world changed. We were supposed to be there last fall for the release of Ardnamurchan. So I was really looking forward to that. Really excited. So that was really disappointing. So for me, I have to live through people that have actually been to Ardnamurchan and hear their tales. And, you have a great website, great videos, so I get a good sense of it. But I can't wait to come and visit and travel down that narrow little road that gets me to the distillery.
Well, that's really, we've had to be innovative, and we've tried to sort of up the social media presence just so we can make sure people still see about us. Today we posted some pictures of otters, and the wildlife on the peninsula is phenomenal. So we like sharing the area as it is as well, but we had to do something. We don't want people to forget about us. But
I saw that on Instagram this morning, cute little otters on their back and on the shore. That's cute.
Yeah, there's often I'm sure you've seen the pictures from the still house. The view across the water is stunning.
Yes.
Often they see deer that comes right up to underneath the window, and it is a very magical part of Scotland. During normal circumstances, when there isn't COVID in the world, you as an ambassador, what's your role? How do you spend your days, your weeks?
A lot of that is spent, attending the different whiskey trade events, and went to Saskatchewan trying to, introduce people, because Saskatchewan, the province next door, there's a lot of youth and there's a lot of wealth in the larger cities, especially Saskatoon. And they're hungry for I see them as what Alberta was like a few years ago, that hunger for new products and knowledge. And so taking Adelphi there is pretty exciting. We have a pub that likes to work with Adelphi in Regina, Bushwhacker Brew Pub. And but unfortunately, taxes in Saskatchewan, the tax structure can make whiskeys quite expensive there. And just visiting shops, you know, talking to people, talking to restaurateurs, and educating them. And, you know, we have one account that now works with Adelphi and does extremely well. But, you know, he came to me a couple of years ago and said, please explain Adelphi to me. I just don't get it. I don't understand. So I said, listen, I don't have any whiskey to sell right now. I've got a bunch of heels. Let me just bring some whiskey in and let me try to show you what Adelphi's all about. Well, he's pretty excited about the brand. And I mean, they do an excellent job at craft cellars, and they have people from across the country looking to them for whiskeys. So for me, it's about sharing that passion and trying to get people excited about the brand and educating just store managers and stuff and talking about Granny's blend and, you know, getting them excited about that and then about the single malts.
Great. No, it sounds fantastic. I'm a big fan of those Alberta bars where because I'm from Sweden, we have ice hockey, and I don't know, there's something about your bars. You go, your chicken wings and your beer, and then a whiskey. I just
That's right.
It's a nice
exactly. And we have some great places, and we have great accounts, you know, throughout the province. Actually, very lucky up in Fort McMurray, Edmonton, Red Deer, Calgary, Lethbridge, the mountains out here in Banff that are big supporters of Adelphi. So it's great. It's good to see it across the province and not just in the big, you know, the big cities, but also out in the rural settings as well.
No, absolutely. And I know that we, this time around in the next Adelphi list, we have changed the split. So trying to stretch it so it lasts more in each market. So that's hopefully going to help you with a little bit more stock of the same cask anyway. And we can't wait to hear the feedback on how this is going to work. But it should allow you to maybe build some new customers up or provide the ones that you have asking for the Adelphi stock. I think I'm excited.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like I have one in Edmonton. I spoke to him last week. He phoned me, Lionel, at Keg and Cork, and he said, Marlene, I'll take anything you can give me.
Yeah,
anything Adelphi. So you know, we have such loyal supporters of the brand in Alberta, so that makes our job much easier.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is it. They are loyal. I think that's the best way of describing our followers and our fans. They're a very loyal group, and it helps that we have great educators like yourself out in the world talking about our whiskies. And I am so pleased that I got a chance to speak with you today and to hear your story and plans for the future. And like I said, we will meet in Scotland. That we've only met in 2D.
Well, I hope so. I look forward to that.
Absolutely. And I you never know, we might do something else with you guys when you get the stock. There we'll do a little Zoom tasting or something with you, because I think they work really well if we can't be there in person.
Oh, they sure did. And, you know, it was fantastic because, as I say, especially when Andrew did his, we had people joining in from Ottawa in Ontario, Nova Scotia, so across the country. So, you know, all these different time zones.
Yeah.
Paired in with poor Connell in Scotland, who's doing them at midnight or 1 a.m.
He loves it. Don't feel sorry for him. He enjoys it. I think it was a busy couple of weeks for the sales team. They were on different time zones every day talking about the whiskies. But you're right, you reach every corner of the country and further afield. And it's nice mixing people that have a passion together. And yeah, they're really enjoyable, these sessions. So
They are.
I miss doing tastings in person and seeing people and hearing the
Me
noise.
too. You just miss that because you don't see the body language as much. You know, when you're in Zoom, you just see the head.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah.
So thank you so much, Marlene. I've really enjoyed chatting with you, and looking forward to welcoming you to Ardnamurchan at some point as well.
Thank you. We look forward to coming to visit you.